And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Hokkaido. Now, Hokkaido is a direct sequel to another card tile laying game called Honshu. So I played Honshu. Honshu was built as a trick-taking tile placement game, and it was kind of a trick-taking game. There were little numbers on the cards, and when you played them, whoever played the highest or lowest number got to do something first, and then pick one of the other cards that was on the table and put it in front of them. I like the idea of laying these cards in front of you, building these little towns, building kind of a landscape in front of you. I thought the trick-taking was gimmicky and a little convoluted, honestly, and didn't really add much to the game. I was not alone in thinking that. Several people did, and so they've come out with this sequel to Hokkaido, which is essentially the same game with some minor differences, but the main difference being they got rid of that trick-taking and now it's just a drafting game. Let's take a look. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get a starting card. These are randomly handed out, and then players are going to start with either side A or side B. This is your starting card. If the card has any resources on it, you will place those resources on top of those tiles. Players are then going to be given a hand of 6 cards from the deck. This is going to be the first half of the game. When you're done with these 6 cards, you'll draw 6 more and play the second half. You're going to be placing 12 cards out. Now, on a player's turn, they're going to look at their 6 cards. They're going to pick one that they're going to keep. This card is going to be placed on their tableau, and the rest are going to be passed to the next person. You'll then take the 5 cards, pick one, place it, etc. Then when you get the next hand of 6 cards, you'll be taking one but passing them in the other direction. When you play a card, it has to either cover or go underneath at least one square of a card already on the table. A few other things are in effect. If you put a lake out, a lake can never be covered, so a lake always has to go on top. And a mountain has to continue a mountain range that's already out there. So for example, I could place this card like this, continuing the mountain range. The mountain range would be connected to each other either orthogonally or diagonally. So I can place it like this. If you place at anything that has a resource on it, you'll place that resource on that tile. If you cover up a resource for whatever reason, if I want to, put a card here, for example, then that resource would go away. And that's basically it. Players can also, at any point during the game, spend 2 cubes of the same color and put out a single tile. I can spend 2 greens to put out a forest, 2 grays to put out a mountain, 2 blues to put out a lake, and 2 browns to put a city out on the board in case you want something in a very specific spot. So after players have done this 12 different times and place these out on the board, then everyone is going to score the tiles. You're going to score based on the different things. Some of the cards have factories on them. So you'll see this card here has a gray and a green factory. If from somewhere else in my tableau, my cards in front of me, I could take a green cube and put it here and a gray cube and put it there, I'll get 4 points. So you can get a lot of points if you manage to, here's a brown factory and a blue factory, here's something that produces a brown resource. So if these are both here, I'll take the cube from here, put it here, get 4 points. Every mountain and every forest that you have showing also gives you 2 points. Lakes will give you points, but not by themselves. So if I have a lake here in front of me, that's worth 0. But if the lake is like this, now each lake after the first tile is going to be worth 3 points. So that would be 3 points. This lake is now worth 6 points. And so you can get lakes, but only if they're built fairly big. Towns are only going to help you if they are on either side of the mountain range. So your mountain range is going to split your board into 2 halves. When you get to the end, it just goes in a straight line, cutting your board into 2 distinct sections. You're going to look at your towns on both sides, your biggest town on both sides, and the smaller town is going to score you 2 points. So here I have a town of 2, a town of 1, and that will give me, I score for the smaller one, 2 points for each tile in that. But if you can get 2 large towns on both sides of the mountain range, you can get a lot of points, but just because the smaller one is basically going to be pretty big. You can also play with an optional variant where you put these cards out. Some of these cards will be on the table, and the first person to do one of these things, like here have 5 separate forest areas, is going to get 3 points. So getting goals can be pretty handy and get you some points during the game. You're going to use a little scoring pad, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. I wouldn't call the artwork on these cards great, but it does look pretty cool. I mean, yes, all the towns look the same. Well, not all the same. I guess there's some different looking towns here. And everything has like a snowy look to it. I do like that. I like the fact that everything looks like it's been snowed upon. But I will say it's very easy to distinguish between these. These numbers are on the cards in case you want to play by the original rules from Honshu. And also for tiebreakers, sometimes these cards will, the numbers will come into effect. But the cards themselves are decent quality. The cubes are, well, cubes. They are what they are, you know. And then these little single tiles are in the game. So, I mean, the game it's fine. It's not like this amazing production value, but it's a really small little game. The cover is really nice looking, that's for sure. Interestingly enough, in the rule book, they're like, hey, you can take the Honshu rules and play them with Hokkaido. No. Or you can take the Hokkaido rules and play them with Honshu. Yes. I don't really see any reason to own both games. They're way too similar, the basic things, except I will never play Honshu again. And if I do, I'm going to insist that we play the drafting rules. They're so much cleaner. You take a card, I like this one, draft it, pass it. Take a card, I like this one, draft it, pass it. And the first one, you were playing cards. So you may never have played Honshu. Don't worry about it. This is the better game, for sure. Here, I like drafting games. I like how simple this one is. You are only drafting 12 cards over the course of the game. You are going to be placing those cards. How are you going to get points? Maybe I want a lot of forests. That's just straight 2 points. Maybe I want to make my mountain range long. Those are also 2 points. Maybe I want to do the cities on both sides of the mountains. That's a little trickier, but there's cards with lots of cities on them. You just make sure you build on both sides equally. That can be a huge amount of points. And then, of course, the very simple, do I have the goods? And I can put them in the factories. I'll always play with the bonus cards because they give you a little bit of, here's what you should do. Maybe build 5 different forests. Maybe build a town that's this size or what have you. I like those. I'll always play with them. I think they're worth having in the game for sure. The only fiddly part of the game is that mountain range. It's not so intuitive how the mountain range works because the mountain range can do this. And then how does it split the map into 2 parts? If it's like in the middle and like a clump, does it split it this way or does it split it this way? I didn't find that as simple for people to understand. Like, which way does it work? And you said it works this way. Oh, okay. But other than that, everything else about the game is very simple. There's not a lot to talk about, really. You're just going to take a card and try to pick what gives you the best. You're going to pick something. I'm going to try to do factories, or I'm going to try to do the mountain range with the cities on both sides. Or I'm going to try to do a little bit of everything and hope those points add up. It seems like the factories, taking a cube and putting in a factory, is a really good bet. But you're also limited with your cards. If I have a bunch of green factories but no green cubes to produce, maybe that's not worth it. Or if I do have a bunch of green cubes and there's no factories, maybe I should spend those green cubes and just build a forest somewhere and get some points that way. Simple game, lots of fun, definitely better than the first one. The drafting just streamlines it out. I would check it out. That's Hokkaido. Dice Tower Judgment approved.